Part 3, The Hack Driver. After looking for Oliver Lutkins at the Fritz shop, they comes out. And then the hack driver says, well, if he comes in, tell him I'm looking for him. We drove to Gus Staff's barber shop. Again, Bill went in first, and I lingered at the door. He was waiting at the door. He asked not only the Swede but two customers if they had seen the Lutkins. He asked not only the Swede, Swede means the head of the shop, but also the two customers if they had seen Oliver Lutkins. The Swede had not. He said angrily, I haven't seen him and don't care to. Now the Swede said very angrily that he had not seen him. But if you find him, you can just collect that $35 he owes me. He tells him one more work that if he had seen, if he sees Oliver, that he could tell him that he should return his $35 to him. One of the customers thought he had seen Lutkins walking down Main Street, this side of the hotel. And one of the customers who was sitting at that barber shop, he said that he had seen Lutkins there. As we climbed back into the hack, Bill concluded that since Lutkins had exhausted his credit at Gustav's, he had probably gone to Gray's for a shave. And then Bill, while he came back, he climbed back onto the hack. He says that since Lutkins had exhausted, he had finished his credit, his money at Gustav, and now he must have gone to Gray's shop for a shave. At Gray's barber shop, we missed Lutkins only 5 minutes. And then when they went to this shop, Gray's shop, they found that Lutkins had just gone 5 minutes before. He had just left, probably for the pool room. And then they told him that he must have gone for pool room. Pool room means for some gambling. At the pool room, it appeared that he had just bought a pack of cigarettes and gone out. So we pursued him. So they followed him. Just behind him, but never catching him. So they were just, wherever they were going, they were just behind him. But they were not able to catch him. For an hour, till it was past 1 o'clock. I was hungry, but I had so enjoyed Bill's rough country opinions about his neighbors that I scarcely cared whether I found Lutkins or not. And then after that, the lawyer found that he was hungry, but he enjoyed. He enjoyed with Bill's opinions about his neighbors as they were driving. He was telling him about his neighbors and all, that he scarcely cared whether he found Lutkins or not. How about something to eat? I suggested. Let's go to a restaurant and I'll buy you lunch. Well, I ought to go home to the wife. I don't care much for these restaurants. Only four of them, and they are all bad. So the hack driver gave his opinion that there were four in this New Mullion, and they were all bad. Tell you what we will do. We will get the wife. We will get the wife to pack up a lunch for us. She won't charge you more than $50, and it would cost you more for a greasy meal in a restaurant. And then he gives a very nice idea. He says that he will go home and he will tell his wife to pack their lunch, and that would hardly cost him $50, and it would be better than the greasy, the oily food which they would have got in the restaurant. And we'll go up to a Wade's Hill and enjoy the view while we eat. And then he says that then they will go to the Wade's Hill, a place, and they will have their lunch over there. I know that Bill's helpfulness to the young fellow from the city was not entirely a matter of brotherly love. I was paying him for his time. And the narrator says that he knew that Bill's helpfulness was not only brotherly love. It was not a love from Bill's side. He was paying for him for all this time. He was not taking undue advantage of Bill. He was paying him wherever it was. In the end, I paid him for 6 hours, including the lunch hour, at what was then a very high price. But he was no more dishonest than I. I charged the whole thing to the firm. So he says that I was not dishonest either, and naturally he was not paying him from his pocket. Whole thing will go from the firm. But it would have been worth paying him myself to have his presence. And he says that it would have been good that if he had paid him from his pocket for all the time he has given him. His cheerful country wisdom was very refreshing to a country boy like myself who was sick of the city. And then he says he was cheerful country wisdom. All the knowledge which he was giving him of the country, of that village, very happily he was telling him about his knowledge he was giving him. It was very refreshing. It was very good for a boy who loved country, who loved villages, and who was sick of the city life, who did not like the city life. As we sat on the hilltop, Looking over the pastures and creek which slipped among the trees, he talked of New Mullion and painted a picture in the words of all the people in it. And as they were enjoying their lunch on the Wades Hill, looking over the pastures. Pastures are the grasslands, as they were looking at the grazing grounds, and the creek. Now, this creek is a narrow inlet on the sea coast. एक छोटी सी लैंड होता है विच कम्स इन द वाटर वाटर बॉडी के अंदर तक, जो पानी के अंदर तक जो लैंड आ जाता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड अ क्रीक. एंड एज दे वर लुकिंग एट इट विच स्लिप्ड अमंग द ट्रीज, जो क्रीक जो ट्रीज के अंदर तक आ रही थी, he talked of New Mullion. He was talking about the New Mullion and the picture. He was giving a nice picture of all the people over there. He noticed everything, but no matter how much he might laugh at people, he also understood and forgave their foolishness. So he was telling the lawyer everything, and he was not only making fun of them, he was also understanding, he was also forgiving them about their foolishness, because they were very innocent people. They were very, very naive, very innocent village people. He described the minister's wife who sang the loudest in the church when she was most in debt. And then he was telling how the church, this minister's wife, she was most in the debt. जब भी वो debt में होती थी, कर्ज में होती थी, how she used to sing the loudest. He also commented on the boys who came back from college in fancy clothes. He told about the lawyer whose wife could never succeed in getting him to put on both a collar and a tie on the same day. And then so funny, he was telling about an incident about a lawyer, and how his wife was never successful to put a collar and a tie on him on the same day. He made them all live. He was talking so interestingly. It was all, everything was coming to him in front, like a picture in front of him. On that day, I came to know New Mullion better than I did the city, and to love it better. And so that day, he came to know so much about that Mullion and not that city where he was living. And he started loving that city.